I'm Anthony Gucciardi, sitting in for this segment of the InfoWars Nightly News, and I'm with Dr. Edward Group, and we're going to talk about the ways we can defend our bodies from the sustained attacks on our gut, on our mind, you name it. We're going to get into it right now. And first, I wanted to highlight this piece from Scientific American. Mental health may depend on creatures in the gut. They're talking about the microbiome and the good and bad bacteria in your gut and how it can really change your brain and the way it works. Studies suggest Wi-Fi exposure more dangerous to kids than previously thought. Cell phones are actually causing cancer, and we've got much more. Dr. Group, let's just get right into this right now. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me on. I mean, we know that there's an attack on our mind, on our body, on the water supply, in the air with the geoengineering, and really what we want to talk about today is solutions. I say over and over again that everybody has a self-healing mechanism within their body, and it's really about eliminating, well, first understanding the sources. I mean, we know that the air is polluted. So how do we breathe clean air? We put plants in our house. We know the food is contaminated. What do we do about that? We eat organic foods as best as we can. What about the water quality? We drink clean water. But we also need to clean the inside of our body. That's the outside environment, and we also need to focus on the internal environment. And that's why it's so important. And that's why we address some of the most essential things that people can take to prevent the degenerative diseases that we're seeing today, the mental health problems that we're seeing, like you said, which we now know and we've known for years and years and years are associated with the gut, because the biggest secret Big Pharma never wants you to find out is how important your gut and your liver are. And how easy it is to not only prevent disease, but eliminate a lot of the symptoms people are suffering from by just addressing and repairing the gut with good probiotics, with supplements like Oxy Powder, cleansing the liver with Liver Shield, and making sure you take some essential nutrients such as the iodine, which most people are deficient in. Most people are deficient in vitamin D, taking the winter sun. And not only that, the Super Male Vitality, all the products that the InfoWars Life store has available, which are all specifically designed to boost your immune system, increase your mental capacity, decrease the amount of toxins in your body, and ultimately let you live a healthier, non-dependent life so you're not having to depend on the pharmaceuticals and the medical doctors out there.
You know, one of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you about this is because you've been talking about gut health for, what, decades now? And how it all really, really ties in with the core of your health. And it's interesting to see, I mean, this is only from February of 2015, this year, from Scientific American. Mental health may depend on creatures in the gut. I remember reading a Live Science post, I guess 3 or 4 years ago, when it was like, hey, it's very, very possible that the microbiome in our guts may actually have something to do with our health. And there was some comments on there and some, retractors saying, no, that's absolutely absurd. It's totally crazy. And it's the same thing with cell phones. Here we have from the New York Times, it says, hold the phone, cell phone radiation can cause cancer. Sorry, it's the New York Daily News. And how many times over the years have you been criticized for saying that you shouldn't speak on your cell phone for 10 hours a day, right? Holding it up next to your brain could be damaging because of the electromagnetic frequencies and the radiation. And I remember talking about cell phone dangers years ago and people saying, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're crazy. And it's the same thing over and over again. We find that when we talk about these things, we're criticized, and then years and years later, the mainstream media admits they're completely true. And talking about the gut health for a minute, they found, of course, we know that 50% of Americans will be diagnosed with a mental illness in their lifetime. They found that the gut bacteria is so central to the nerves that are going on that all the triggers in your brain can be messed up when there's bad bacteria, and there's actually neurons in your heart. So there's brain systems in your heart, in your gut, and all of it together can actually cause things like schizophrenia if they're out of whack. And it's really just a lack of nutrients in some ways that are causing this, a overgrowth of things like candida. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, what we have is all the chemicals in the food and the water supply and all the stuff that people are putting in their mouth are actually counterproductive to creating a biodome. And I mean, a biodome is something that is naturally formed that's in complete balance with the system. And the medical schools don't even teach about gut health, and that should be their main focus, because a good probiotic balance will produce the hormones that you need, produce the serotonin for the brain that you need. And that's also the reason why the appendix is there, because they say the brain of the body is actually in the gut. And I believe that after all the research that I've done. Also had to do research and figure out that the appendix is really what regulates most of the systems inside your body. And the appendix is still thought of as a unnecessary organ according to medical science, when to me it's one of the most important. It's also one of the most important methods of utilizing the proper balance in the gut, because if you do have the proper balance, the appendix will then relay that information to all the different systems. So it's amazing what I've seen just by cleansing the intestines. And by cleansing, I mean using something that's going to oxidize or turn all the solid, hard, compacted waste that's been accumulating in there for year after year after year into a liquid or a gas. And we use oxy powder for that to flush all that out and then put in all the good probiotics to help repair and build that biodome back up inside the gut. And it's amazing the amount of symptoms that go away once you have good gut health, and then once you have good liver health as well.
Right, and getting back to mental health, so one of the things that I'm really passionate about covering over and over is the idea of an artificial state of mind that we've been put in over and over again by these contaminated junk food, and also, though, a lot of mental things that we do to ourselves. So I believe that we really should all be passionate, hungry, energetic people. But what happens is we put all this junk in our bodies, because it's not just about the lack of good bacteria in the gut. It's about the overgrowth of bad bacteria because of our bad eating decisions. And it reminds me of Roundup, Monsanto's Roundup, which is glyphosate ridden. It's based off glyphosate, which they own the patent on. The World Health Organization recently did admit that glyphosate is a probable carcinogen, as in it's most likely causing cancer. And we eat this every single day, and we think about it for a minute. What is it doing? It's destroying our gut health. And all these toxins we decide to put in our body are destroying our gut health and allowing the bad things in our body to overtake them. And that's why I think InfoWars Life is all about creating products to fight the attack on our body specifically, because it really is an artificial attack. It's not like if we were living in the jungle thousands of years ago, eating fruits and berries and maybe hunting even, we would have this issue. What's happening is we're putting so much artificial crud in our bodies that we're having to compensate by getting super high quality, powerful minerals and nutrients that we may otherwise may have not needed. Am I wrong in that?
No, you're not. And a point that you brought up that hasn't been studied yet is the effect of electromagnetic radiation from the cell phones, from the smart meters, from all the cell phone towers, and also the effect of stress on the digestive tract. Now, stress completely constricts the digestive tract. And when you have the majority of the population out there, I personally think 100% of the population has digestive problems just because of the environment in which we live. There hasn't been studies on electromagnetic radiation and how that affects gut health, but I believe that it actually does. I mean, you can put probiotics in a tray and expose them to certain microwave frequencies or certain types of cell phone frequencies, and those might die. And it's about that imbalance. If you take the good away and you have more negative and more bad growing in there, then the bad will take over. There's no balance. So that's why it's so important to utilize good nutrition, avoid all the toxic substances coming into your body on a daily basis. That's why people are becoming more educated every single day about probiotics, about intestinal cleansing. And it's something that everybody should do to prevent any further symptoms or prevent the progression of any type of disease condition.
And to add to that too, we think about the gut, and it's really just, it's the nerve signals to the brain that are getting messed up when all this is going on. So the electromagnetic radiation, I believe, would also have some power to that. So in closing though, hormones is another reason why a lot of us, I think, are out of whack. Wouldn't you say that, in addition to the gut health and in addition to the negative toxins in the body, is one of the key factors?
Absolutely. Well, most of the hormones that we're exposed to are coming through fragrances, phthalates. People are rubbing these lotions all over their skin, using toxic hair care products, but also drinking out of plastic bottles, eating canned foods. I mean, we do have a problem with endocrine disrupting chemicals out there, and that's affecting both males and females. So again, avoid that and cleanse your body on a regular basis to eliminate those.
All right, Dr. Group, thanks a lot for joining us. I'm Anthony Gucciardi, sitting in for the InfoWars Nightly News tonight. It's essential to prepare yourself to be real. I'm super passionate about InfoWarsLife.com products because they're made to defend against these things. But overall, take your health into your own hands. Stick around. We've got a lot more coming up.